At the heart of Yellowstone are themes of success, wealth, and power, and these themes continue to play out off-screen in these Yellowstone actors' luxurious lives. Kevin Costner has been active in Hollywood since the early 80s and has starred in countless films. Given his notoriety and playing the leading role of John Dutton, it makes sense that Costner would be the highest-paid actor on Yellowstone, earning a whopping $1.5 million per episode, according to Radar. Kevin Kay, a television executive, sat down with The Hollywood Reporter to justify Costner's salary, saying, "The statement we wanted to make was that we're open for business, and we're willing to pay top-tier actors whatever their quotes are."
So I said yes.
We can only imagine what inordinate amount of money the big names in 1923 will be making. With his reported $250 million net worth made over a decades-long career, Costner has been able to live a very comfortable life. He owned an oceanside property in Carpinteria, California, which has access to a private beach and stunning views. When Costner isn't needed in California, he spends his time at his ranch in Aspen, Colorado, the Dunbar. It boasts 160 acres, 3 separate residences, and a lake. The Dunbar is available to rent, when Costner isn't home, of course, for $36,000 per night. Costner has also been known to invest his own money in projects he's passionate about. He put $9 million into a movie called Black or White. As he told The Hollywood Reporter, "I do so many things entrepreneurially in my life. I am really in love with the what if."
There's monsters everywhere in this world. You just gotta kill them when you find them.
Kevin Costner's on-screen son and registered badass, Case Dutton, is played by Luke Grimes on Yellowstone. During COVID, Grimes and his wife decided to leave Los Angeles behind and move to Montana with an estimated $500,000 in the bank. While speaking to cowboys and Indians, he detailed traveling with his wife in an Airstream trailer and their cat before they arrived in the countryside to film Yellowstone. He said, "I tried to keep it under wraps where I was building my house out here, but when you live in a place this small, everyone knows. It was a fool's errand trying to keep that secret. Now in the countryside, he says it's a dream, and he's far from the wealthiest of his castmates. Turns out that money really can't buy happiness, huh? From fishing to hiking and only an hour from set, Grimes has truly found his paradise. In an interview with New York Post, Grimes said he's not all that interested in fashion because it often suggests you have money. However, he commended an expensive boot brand and added, "I've been wearing cheap watches for so long now. I think it's time I got a real one." In the same interview, he also spoke about how he's now working on his music, saying, "Now here, I am signed with Universal Nashville. I've got a record deal and I have a show booked." Things are certainly looking up for Grimes as he continues to climb the ladder of success. With a long-standing career stemming back to the 90s, with roles in films like Pride and Prejudice and Sherlock Holmes, Kelly Reilly has built up a reported $5 million net worth. Although she initially had her doubts about playing Beth Dutton, it's a relief she went through with it because nobody else could play the complex character as convincingly. Although Reilly doesn't earn as much as her co-star and on-screen father Kevin Costner, she's accumulated enough cash that she can live a pretty cushy life. In 2011, when speaking with The Guardian, she commented on how she likes to spend her free time, saying, "I ride horses, cook for friends, and go for long walks. I live between my house on the borders of Sussex and Surrey and New York, where my boyfriend lives. I spend a lot of time across the pond. I spend a lot of time on airplanes." With all of the busyness and traveling around, it was amazing that she found the time to also act on stage, in films, and on TV. But when you have the money, it seems like anything is possible. She and her now husband have continued to split their time between the UK and the US. In an interview with The Independent, Reilly divulged that filming in Montana had given her a third home. Wes Bentley, otherwise known as Jamie Dutton on Yellowstone, used to have a very different life from the one he has now. Bentley got his start back in the 90s, with his most notable role at the time being in American Beauty. But he was struggling. The roles he was offered afterward weren't what he was truly interested in, and he began to cope via drugs. He told Page Six, "I never had money before, so there was a lot of things I wasn't prepared for. Even after getting busted with heroin, he'd resigned himself to this life. However, in 2009, he met a sober friend who inspired him. He also had the support of his wife." Bentley has now been clean since July 5, 2009, attributing Robert Downey Jr.'s candidness around his own struggles with addiction as an inspiration. A few years later, he was cast in The Hunger Games and Interstellar, which turned his entire career and life around. Now co-starring in one of the biggest television shows ever, Bentley has accumulated an estimated $3 million net worth. He said to the New York Times, "I believe in fate, and I believe I went through all that, caused all that, and experienced all that because I was going to get here." He, his wife, and 2 children have remained very private, and it's wonderful to see Bentley grow into his success. The loyal ranch hand, Rip Wheeler, is portrayed by Hauser. If he seems familiar, you've probably seen Hauser in one of the many roles he's had in television and film over the last 3 decades, like Dazed and Confused and Good Will Hunting. Or perhaps you know Hauser through his famous parents, Wings Hauser and Cass Warner. That's right, from Warner Brothers, who had both been involved in the entertainment industry well before he was born. Hauser grew up between Oregon and Florida and finally took off as a teenager for Los Angeles, where he began going to auditions. Despite his family name, his mother made him work for what he wanted, so his estimated $8 million net worth is certainly earned. Although he'd already set up residence in Hollywood, Yellowstone was a big win for him. He was born for the limelight and for the role, it seems, as he told Cowboys and Indians, "Our family, the Hauser side of the family, are all Montanans." Now that he's in a role set far from Los Angeles, Hauser has taken his Yellowstone earnings and moved to Florida with his wife and 3 children, after selling his stunning ranch in California for $3.85 million. With an estimated $15 million net worth, Ryan Bingham lives it up pretty well in Los Angeles. First and foremost, Bingham is a musician, and if it weren't for his musical talent, he may not have ever gotten his role as Walker on Yellowstone. While Taylor Sheridan, the creator of Yellowstone, was working on his film Wind River, he met Bingham and asked him to write some music for the film. Bingham told Country Thing Daily, "I never seemed to come up with anything for the movies at that time that fit, but we always kept in touch and remained friends." So when Sheridan began creating Yellowstone, he called Bingham up and offered him a role, well aware that the singer had a history working in rodeos. In 2021, Bingham and his wife, Anna Axter, split after 12 years of marriage and 3 children together. He put his home up for sale, and it was no shack. Listed at $2.45 million, the property is located in the area of Topanga, California, in the Santa Monica Mountains. While it's unclear how the split has affected his lifestyle, he's continued to make incredible music and act in the breakout television series. So he's sure to be doing just fine financially.
So beautiful. Every direction. It's like a painting.
As successful as Yellowstone has been, Danny Huston didn't need the show to live lavishly. Kicking off season 1 as the antagonizing land developer, Dan Jenkins, Huston did a remarkable job, and it's no wonder, seeing as how entertainment was his family's empire. Raised between Rome and Galway, Huston didn't always have it easy growing up, even if he didn't struggle with money. He lived in his father's shadow for some time, the renowned director John Huston, and then in his sisters, who you'd know as Angelica Huston. Huston began acting, and with his father's help, he also was able to get experience as a director, eventually moving on to direct his own films. While it's surely a lot of pressure growing up in a famous, highly successful family, it's fortunate he had the experiences he did, seeing as how he's now worth an estimated $3 million, had a role in TV's biggest show, and now owns a home in California with a view of the Hollywood sign. However, as he joked to The Guardian, you really have to crane around at a right angle to see it. It's not in your face. Regardless, being able to see the Hollywood sign from any point in your house is a pretty good indicator you're living a lavish life. With the titles of writer, producer, actor, and director for a number of television shows and movies under his belt, Taylor Sheridan has become a Hollywood icon, and without him, we wouldn't have Yellowstone at all, as he created the series and even played the role of Travis Wheatley. He also directed season 1 and had a hand in the writing of every Yellowstone episode too. With a reported $15 million to his name, Sheridan doesn't have to worry about money anytime soon. There seems to be a running theme of real-life cowboys playing versions of themselves on screen, and Sheridan is a prime example of this. He sat down with Fort Worth magazine to discuss the Texas ranch introduced in season 4 and the focal point of the upcoming spinoff, 6666, saying, "When you think of the best cowboys and horses, you think of the 4 Sixes." Sheridan said he'd gotten a call where he learned that the owner of the 4 Sixes ranch had died, and her will detailed it was to be sold. He said, "No one seems to have a goal of maintaining a ranch's legacy. Instead, they look under the hood and see just how much it costs." With that mentality, he bought the 4 Sixes ranch for just under $200 million and is living a wildly lavish lifestyle indeed.